Well, hello and welcome to Knife Delights. Today on the table we have us another buck fixed blade knife, another addition to my buck collection, and especially the 100 series of buck fixed blades. And this is what's commonly known as the buck 121 Fisherman. But there is quite a history to this knife. This one looks to have been slightly used, but it's still in pretty fantastic shape. So as we discuss this knife, I just thought we'd kind of clean it up just a little bit. I got some of this leather conditioner and corrosion inhibitor, food and skin safe, and this is made by LCK Knives. You can get it on Etsy. You can pause this and get his Etsy address there. And it's a wonderful bunch of stuff here. Just take a little bit and put on your finger. You rub it on there. You can see we've got some stuff down on there. Not sure what it is. Maybe somebody cleaned some fish and then just never cleaned the knife off. I don't know. We'll see here and see if we can't get some of that stuff off. But as I started to say, this knife has a unique history. It is described as an ill-fated knife, which I'm not quite sure why that is, except that the original version of this knife did not last very long at all. I'll put a graphic up here, and you will see that the buck 121, and I don't know why in this graphic it has buck 121-stiletto. I don't know why that's there, but the 121 started in 1964 and had a fish scaler and a vertical tang stamp along the spine. Wow, vertical tang stamp. So if you happen to find one of these with a vertical tang stamp and the serrations, why, you've got quite a find. You know what? I don't know if this is going to cut it. I might have to get out the old Dremel and just polish on this, use a little rubbing compound on this. It's just not quite coming off, is it? But anyway, as you can see in the graphic, it's the only buck knife that came with the two strapped leather collar type sheath. So there's two straps on it. And of course there was the spine up here. Well, before I do any further cleaning on this, we'll just look at the sheath. It's the old style fold over sheath for this. And the sheath is in very good condition. And actually I can use some of this right here on the sheath. And you will see that it just adds some luster to it, helps clean it a little bit, adds a little moisture to it. Gotta keep your leather moist, if you will. And remember, leather is skin, so it does dry out. This is what's nice about using the LCK's product here. It's safe on the skin. And as it warms up, it'll gloss more. You can see already we got a little better sheen on there. And then if you want to, you can buff it out. And I can always put another layer on there. Just keep doing it. I don't think it's that dirty to where I need to use any saddle soap on it. I think this will probably just clean it and moisturize it just fine. See how it makes it luster? Brings back a luster. Help preserve that leather. Yep. So, okay, let me get the Dremel out here real quick. And we'll just use some of this number 7 heavy duty rubbing compound. Let's get the lid off. I really like using this stuff. It works pretty good. Take a little of this here. Put it on there. And I'm just going to use this pad here that's a little softer pad here. I don't think it's going to take too much. We'll see though. Yep, looks like it's cleaning it up really good here. Some stuff right down in there. Just see what happens here. Oh yeah, I cleaned a bunch of that stuff off, didn't it? The blade is pretty scratched. It looks like somebody used some sandpaper. That's what that looks like. Somebody used some sandpaper to clean it off, it looks like. Oh well. It's still a pretty fascinating knife. So anyway, it started out and had the serrations, and it only lasted until... What was the year here? I do have some notes. I had to make some notes here. In the 1967 catalog, it shows it, and it shows it in this configuration here without any of the serrations. So, looks like 1966, or roughly that time frame. Roughly that time frame, they changed the design to have it without serrations. And changed the sheath to what we kind of consider a standard buck sheath. Now the model 121 Fisherman was described as this in the catalog. This Fisherman's Dream is 10 inches overall with a gentle curving flexible blade for perfect filleting. It also has the scaler. Oops, that's the old one still. Another picture of it. And this is the ad here where it says that it's ill-fated. So anyway, still has a serration. It says a Fisherman's Dream is 10 inches overall with a gentle curving flexible blade for perfect filleting. It also has a scaler added for extra convenience. This is the perfect knife for all kinds of fishing, from ultralight to deep sea sports fishing. Yeah. Then they dropped, as I said, they dropped the serrations. And I'll put in a shot of the catalog from the 1970s. And you can see in this 1979 buck catalog, Fisherman, model 121, Fisherman's Dream, with a gentle curving 5.5 inch blade for perfect filleting, ideal for all kinds of fishing from ultralight to deep sea sports fishing. Now this is what's interesting. When you look at this tang stamp, it's the 3-line, but there's no date symbol on it, which means it was made somewhere between 1972 and 1986. But that gets to be a little problem too, and I'll go over that here in just a second. Oh yeah, clean right up. I think I'll change this wheel. Do I have one of the big tall ones here? Well, of course not. I've got to go grab one. Hang on. Now, for my research from the catalogs, it looks like 1984 was the last year that they called this the Fisherman, because in 1985 catalogs and beyond, they call it the Guide. So since there's no date symbol on this one could either be called the Fisherman, or it may be called the Guide. I don't know. Right there in that transition period. Be a little careful there. You see the little tip of the thing sticking out. I don't want it to hit up in here. This is why this tall one is nice to use. I don't know what's down in there. Something's being a little tough. It's starting to come off there a little bit. So that's the problem when you have a transition knife. Because up until 1986, no date symbol on it. So this changed in 1984. Last year is the Fisherman, and the next year it's the Guide. So I don't know if I have a Fisherman or a Guide. But look at that. Yep. I'm going to do a little bit more work on it. I still got a little stuff to touch up down in there. Get a little bit more off on there. I can always, a lot of times it's easier to just hand polish this pommel. Yeah, just kind of hand polish this sometimes. But I can get her all shined up. And I just thought you might like a look at this wonderful knife. It's not made anymore. The last year that I saw it in a catalog, listed in a catalog, was 2000. So it's not made anymore. So there you have it, the Buck 121, either Fisherman or Guide. And what a welcome addition to my collection. Make sure and check out my Buck Knives playlist down here in the lower right hand corner. And hit that subscribe button. And until next time, have a very delightful day.